Thanks for tuning in. This is Thomper B. Thompin, and in this video we're doing another tow test, this time with the 2024 GMC Sierra 1500 with the 3-liter Duramax and the Max trailering package. So I'm going to be climbing this small mountain in West Virginia, up and then over a pass, and then descending down on the other side. And the whole point of this video is just to talk about temperatures. So I've got this GoPro set up on the Scan Gauge 3, where I'm showing the engine oil temp, coolant temp. I'm gonna have to read you the transmission temp right now, which is 199, because that's just on my regular dash. But I also have on the right-hand middle side there the exhaust gas temperatures. That's bank 1, sensor 3. Showing how much DEF we've used. I just parked before climbing this, so kind of ignore that. I just turned the truck back on so it started over. That's in liters. And you see how much DEF is being used, and the regen trigger in the bottom right-hand corner, that's the same thing as the soot level in some of the other information displays. But crawling up this pass here in West Virginia, currently at 2,500 RPMs. I'm going to go up and over. And I did this pass last year in a 2023 Toyota Tundra with the 3.5-liter turbocharged V6. So that's still fresh in my mind. I pulled the same exact trailer with the same exact ATVs, dirt bikes, and camping gear inside of it. This is a 2023 Forest River Ibex 19 QTH. It's a toy hauler, rocking about 800 to 850 pounds of tongue weight. And I think the trailer is right at approximately like 6,800 pounds given everything that we've got inside of it. So yes, I'm just gonna speak to the towing experience and show these numbers off. And I want to immediately draw your attention to the engine oil temperatures. 240 degrees already. So it's been about 85 miles of driving to get to this point from my house, and we've been hovering right around 240. We've been getting up into the mid 240s, up into the high 240s, and then down into the 230s as well. But for the most part, 240. Not too shabby. This truck also comes equipped with an exhaust brake, and I am no pro on how exactly these things work. I know that there are many different ways to do an exhaust brake. So I believe that GM is using the turbocharger to accomplish that with this 3-liter Mini Max or Baby Max, whatever you want to call it. So I'm using it right now. I'm in 4th gear at about 3,500 RPM. We've got this small little snaking descent before we really initiate this full climb. I'm not touching the brakes at all either, so that's pretty cool. Just hovering at 50 miles per hour, 3,500 RPM on this descent. That's actually really, really good. The Toyota Tundra's engine braking, which I know is different, they're using compression on that gasoline engine, wasn't quite as good at holding the weight in that same spot, so that's pretty interesting. But in order to use the manual shift mode, you've got to shift your shifter down into the L position, and then you can actually use the paddle shifters. Otherwise, they don't really do anything. So the only difference between that one time I took the Toyota Tundra up and over this pass with this exact trailer was it was about 20 degrees cooler. That is literally the only difference. I think we are within 100 pounds of each other on weight. So when it comes to towing with this GMC Sierra, I do want to say that the hitch hookup is very simple and easy. They did a good job with that. The Tundra's was really good, but this is even slightly better. Like the how you can access the chain hookups and everything, they just make it very, very simple. I also really like the camera system. That Tundra also had a 360 camera. Most trucks are coming with them, or at least available as an option these days. So that just makes hooking up a hitch easier. And I've also got the camera set up on my infotainment here to where I'm monitoring the bed view of the truck. So I can see the GoPro that's mounted on the front windshield of the trailer, and hopefully see that it stays on there the whole time, the thing doesn't fall off. Ignore the bed full of dead trees, I'm just taking them out there to burn. But yeah, great camera system for trailering. Another unique thing that the cameras can do is when you go to change lane and you have your turn signal going, if you have your trailer hooked up, it will use your side mirrors to show your blind spot on the infotainment screen. So that's pretty cool. It is a very grainy picture. It looks like it's from like the 1990s or something, but it still shows you if you have a vehicle in your blind spot. One unique thing too about this Sierra is, I don't know if it's because of the max trailering package or what, but I only have a 7-pin connector. There is no available 4-pin. So the Tundra had both. I know a lot of trucks and SUVs have both, but pretty interesting that this Sierra only comes with the one. Now you see them exhaust gas temperatures, we're up in the 920, 930 degrees. That's allowing for a passive regen right now. So that regen trigger, or the soot level, I wouldn't be surprised if it stays in the 60s the rest of this climb, and then as we crest the hill and we begin our descent, maybe it'll climb up again. Wow, 1,000 degrees for that exhaust gas temperature. That is Bank 1 Sensor 3. The Scan Gauge 3 allows you to monitor 3 different exhaust gas temperature sensors. And you'll see that the depth dosing is pretty high, 80, 90%. So it's pouring DEF in right now. But in my experience, a lot of people will complain about how much DEF this truck consumes while towing. And yeah, it consumes a decent amount. But based on my calculations, I could pull this trailer approximately like 1,000 miles before having to put any more DEF back in. So I think it's pretty reasonable, all things considered. I mean, this trailer is just a huge box catching all sorts of wind, and it's not exactly light either. We're just under 7,000 pounds, maybe even 7. So RPMs are pretty good. We're staying between 2,000 and 3,000, same exact as the Tundra. So that's kind of interesting. And the GoPro camera isn't going to do any of this any justice. I promise you, this is Route 55 in West Virginia. It's a nice climb. We do flatten out right here before we then finish the final climb to the crest. It looks like we got some traffic up ahead. This could get interesting. So we're cruising at 56 miles per hour right now, which is great because we're allowing for additional cooling, sitting at 251 degrees for oil temp. Transmission temperatures at 205, 207, fluctuating between. And I'm not going to make the pass on this truck before it goes back to double lines. Okay. I might have to cut chunks of this video out just to keep it under 30 minutes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm not going to make this pass. They can. I will not. Oh, so they thought twice about it. Hopefully this truck pulls over to a spot where we can pass. I am now slowed down to 25 miles per hour. And that's just too unsafe to make the pass. I don't know if he's overloaded or if he just didn't get enough of a run. Speaking of enough of a run, momentum. This truck has 305 horsepower, 495 pound-feet of torque. Plenty enough for my needs, and I'm not complaining about it at all. I will say, however, that Tundra had slightly less torque at 480 pound-feet, but much more horsepower at 390. And it is a noticeable difference. Again, I'm not complaining about the lack of power with this truck. It does the job just fine. But that Tundra could pull this trailer up a hill and accelerate up it with ease compared to this. It's just a noticeable difference in power. I don't think that this thing is lacking power, but... And I also have the max trailering package in this truck, like I said. So the Tundra had, ooh, forgive me, I forget, it was like 331 gear ratio for the rear end. Every single Tundra has the same thing, also has a 10-speed transmission, but this one comes with the 373 gears as a part of that max trailering package. You also get like a different spring rate. I think they add another leaf, and you get a different size axle, slightly bigger, among some other things. But no 4-low in this truck, no 4-low. So engine oil temp 240, coolant temp 219, and trans 201. Not terrible. You can see my exhaust gas temperatures drop down into the 790 range. Just cruising around, it stays between like 450 and 650, right in there. So you don't get much chance to passive regen when you're just driving around empty. Yeah, look at our regen trigger, down to 52%. Soot level, that's really good. It'll be very interesting to see how much that climbs coming down this hill. Man, this sucks. I drive this route all the time, and this might be like probably 100 times. This might be the third time I've ever had to crawl up this hill going this slow. So I got to point out fuel economy. At this point in the tow with the Tundra, we were at 8.5 mpgs. Now I'd finished that day at right around 10. But right now with the GMC and the 3-liter, we are at 12.8. So thank goodness we are making our descent here. Hopefully this truck can pick up the speed a little bit. So we're sitting at 12.8 mpg. I imagine when I get back home round trip, we'll be probably sitting around like 14. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Squeeze past. But I'll post the actual final MPG number right here. So now I just switched over to manual mode. We are in 4th gear, letting that exhaust brake do its work at about 3,300 RPM. Coolant temps are dropping, transmission temps 205, engine oil 240, not bad. Exhaust gas temperature 760. 3,400 RPM, 49 miles per hour in 4th gear. I'm using the brakes a little bit, just because I don't want to make this engine scream too much. All right, but we do have room in the RPM range, so let's try it. 3rd gear, 4,000 RPM. Gotta brake, gotta brake. Got the trailer gain set to about 6.5. I'm impressed with the exhaust brake. I think it's adequate. I mean, I got almost 7,000 pounds behind me, and cruising in 3rd gear, 3,500 RPM, and I'm not on the brake. Thank goodness those engine oil temps are coming back down. Look at the exhaust gas too, 390. Jumping up to 4th gear, 12.9 mpgs. That's after 95 miles, keep in mind. So before I started this hill climb, I was right at about like 13.5, give or take. Gonna apply some brake here because I know this left-hander is decently sharp. 2,500 RPM. Just downshifted to 3rd, 3,300. Engine oil 230, exhaust gas 300. That's crazy low. It cools off pretty quick. Transmission 203. Very reasonable. So the transmission temp never got too high at all. That's actually pretty good. I think the highest I saw was about 207 on this climb. I can take that. We're at about 3,800 RPM, 46 miles per hour, and I have not touched the brake in a minute. Upshifting to fourth. Fifth gear. I do have a few cars behind me, but the speed limit's only 55 anyways. And we are at 50 now. Sixth gear. And the regen trigger, or the soot level, still down at 53%. That's really, really good. Typically, this thing regens every, I can see in the upper left-hand corner there, average regen distance, that's in miles, 176. You know, I've gone like 220, 230 between regens, and I've gone like 150, 160. It just depends on all sorts of different variables. I do not short trip this truck, or at least I try not to. That's very rare. So I'm going to switch back to drive and let the transmission shift itself, because we are flattening out a fair bit. Okay, so regen soot level's climbing back up a little bit. We're at about 55. Makes sense with the exhaust gas temperatures being so low. Yeah, this truck has plenty of power to do the job. I'd be fine towing this thing through any mountain pass basically, but that Tundra definitely pulls it a lot stronger. Fuel economy is increasing to now 13.2 mpgs over 97 miles. Again, you guys have, I've posted the final round trip fuel economy number on the screen, so I don't know what that is. My guesstimate is going to be, I'm going to guess 14.8. That's my guess. But that's it. We've leveled out. Yeah, not a whole lot to say. This thing tows like a dream. Thanks for watching, everybody.